Hello everyone, I'm Melodish, and I'll bring you here Selene Apoptosis for PC. So the game came out on Friday. It's developed by Nupu Neko Dev and Vishkum Key and published by Nupu Neko Dev. So let us start. The sound was driving him crazy. Monotonous, muffled thuds resonated through his head with dull pain. The pain wasn't too strong, nothing unbearable, but that sound. More than anything else, he wanted the sound to just stop. Thud. Nevertheless, the knocking sounds in a tent. He knew it well enough because he himself was their origin. Thud, thud, thud. Is that supposed to be like stepping on water? The nose of his sleeper was hitting the rear of his desk over and over again, like a huge fluffy moth frantically hammering against the window glass. He actually wanted plenty of things. He wanted to pay the rent in time this month, not to displease his landlady again. He wanted to finish the script, at least in draft, because a draft is way better than nothing. Something one can work with. And he wanted to sleep. Not quite that. The problem, a serious one, was that he didn't really want to sleep. He leaned back in his chair and rubbed his shut eyes, pressing his eyeballs until dancing pale lights appeared. Of course, he took the sleeping pills. When a healthy 8-hour sleep gives you way to a not so healthy 5-hour nap, then a 3-hour eye shut break and your liver. You just want to sleep. You need to sleep, especially if you have already taken an advance payment for the first part of a gig, and the goddamn text won't just write itself. However, if the text could in fact write, he didn't have any illusions in this regard. As soon as neural networks get smart enough, he and dozens of other ghostwriters will vanish into morning mist of a new era in literature. He didn't have much of a name or connections, only some skill and a knack to meet the deadlines for the most part. The client was content with this, and he was content with the pay, so everything failing him. Blam! This time the tick got too strong. His foot jerked and hit the board with very noticeable pain. Seeming like he even heard his toes crack. He muttered a short curse and rolled the chair away from the desk. Although he knew, now that his attention was not fixed on the blank text file, the tick should go away all by itself. It's funny how the conscious is detached from the body. He often thought about it, especially while having insomnia. It's like you are working as a team, but your partner starts pulling something. You seem to have common goals, but when it. In the end, you have no idea what's on his mind. Well, at least there won't be any more knocking. Good. A small window at the far side of the room flashed white for a moment. A storm? Now that he thought about it, the day was hot. The viscous, stagnant air that still filled the room. This and the barely audible squeak of an overheated network filter. He became sensitive to such things when he couldn't sleep for a long time. Made the entire room seem to vibrate a little, like a cocoon that's about to hatch. Actually, that didn't sound like a good line. He rolled back to the table and was about to write that thought down, but paused it over the keyboard. He remembered the individual words away. This time the white light seemed to fill the entire room. Then a thunder followed, resembling a low gut roar of something large and famished. Good lord. He called to God way too often for someone who never goes to church, just an habit he inherited from his mother. A fierce patter of raindrops pounded on his window. There's no way he could work like this, not now. But maybe it's for the best. Since he was a little boy, he slept well during storms, had to seize the moment. He groped for a pack of sleeping pills. It's nice to have your working tools at hand. Pop up the pills into his mouth and open the window to hear the steady patter of the rain. Then he went to bed and collapsed on top of the bed sheets, his clothes still on. He could tell by the sun the water had flooded the windowsill and was trickling down to the floor. Each side that was a small price to pay. He felt a pleasant chill of cloth beneath his cheek. The wavering haze was gradually fading from the room, yet the sleep did not come. He tried to take off his shoes, change. Nothing helped. He just lay there with his eyes closed and thought his closed eyelids felt heavy. He knew it was an illusion. All in vain. He's not sleeping. He can't sleep. Thud. At first he thought it was imagining things. Thud, thud, thud. Sometimes the knocking paused, but he never stopped completely. The sound came from below, from the first floor. Someone was banging insistently on the door, and with each thud he commented. He is trying to sleep. Is it really that hard to just leave a man alone? At least at night, at least in the house that he pays for specifically so that nobody will bother him? He opened his eyes, easy just as he thought, sprang to his feet and ran downstairs. Something was boiling inside him. Halfway to the door, he took a turn to the cupboard and pulled out an old baseball bat. He wasn't likely to actually use it. He asked himself if he would as he reached for the door handle. No, he certainly wouldn't, but he's angry, and he wants the night guest to learn it. What the hell? The rain was still pouring, alright, it was actually getting stronger. As his mother would say, and the floodgates of heaven tore open. His mother used to say a lot of things. That was on the list of reasons why he had to rent this overpriced house where anyone could start banging the door in the middle of the night. A cat, for example. What the hell? He said it again, this time aloud. A cat was standing on his porch. She looked like a purebred British short-hair in all respects, except for the color. Aside from smoky grey head, it seemed as if she was dropped into a vat of white paint, while her lower part was dipped into a black one. Wet fur clung on her small, rather skinny body, dripping with water. The cat could have probably slipped into the house as soon as the door opened, but instead she froze as if waiting for the host to say something. Let her in refused. It will be raining again soon. So you have to let her in, right? There's no way you can refuse. Uh, it was cold outside, much colder than one might think. He didn't feel angry, so he probably teased us. All right, come in. He stepped aside, freeing the doorway. The cat didn't move. So you don't want to, huh? He was about to say fine then morning, but he finally realized what was wrong. The bat. He threw it away, aiming for the sofa, but missed it. The bat clattered on the floorboards. The cat followed it into the darkness with her round yellow eyes. The sounds didn't frighten her. He sighed. I won't hurt you. Come in if you want. The cat raised her eyes at him. For the first time, he actually saw, and couldn't help admiring how big and yellow they were. The cat's pupils were also large and incredibly round, like two full moons in an eclipse. Just as he was about to close the door for the second time, the cat murmured something and fluttered into the house, butting him with her wet head as she passed by. He smiled. Strictly speaking, at this very moment ended. If the landlady found out, and he was sure she would, he would have to look for a new place to live. There are plenty of lonely bored seniors in the neighborhood, you thought, and they only have two hobbies, observing and reporting. The subject and the recipient aren't that important. Well, it's fine. Maybe you'll leave the suburbs. Maybe you'll move to an apartment since him getting privacy didn't work out anyway. The rain was getting stronger still. He closed the door. Let someone enter like that. The cat explored the house with cautious curiosity, stopping by different objects as if trying to understand their purpose. Watching that was amusing, so amusing he even forgot about the stain. When he remembered, it has already spread out, a dark spot of water in the place where the cat clung to him. He pulled the wet cloth away from his body and stared at it blankly for a moment, then almost groaned aloud. The cat was soaked, so she probably got a lot of dirt in the house. He decided not to turn on the light, he had enough disappointment for the night. Instead, he went to get a towel. Alright, come here. The cat turned her head to the voice and froze in place. She was examining the TV, a lifeless black mirror of a plasma panel in a lacquer frame that he hadn't even touched since moving in. In the reflection, the cat herself looked black. She gave him a long, appraising look and then, with a sudden eagerness, trotted towards him, deftly avoiding the obstacles. He was surprised. Maybe the cat decided he was more interested than the TV, or maybe she acted out of respect for her host's will. Anyway, he felt grateful. Finally, someone he can actually negotiate with. Suddenly, he thought how nice it would be to crawl under the blanket with a warm ball of fur. It would surely have helped him to fall asleep. As a child, he had a cat, grey, huge, brash, immensely ugly, and equally beloved. He often fell asleep hugging him. The cat's name was Timo, and he faded into a June night many years ago. Timo from League of Legends. What the fuck? We can quick save. The cat bumped her wet head against him once more. He thought that cats usually shake off the water themselves. Usually, but perhaps not always. Hey, easy there, you're all wet. The cat looked up at him with her moon-shaped eyes and murmured something again. Do something about it then. His man got work. He had squeezed the fur throughout, so the towel soon turned into a wet rag. Surely, bathe the cat? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, what the fuck? Doesn't matter. Bathe the cat. That won't do. I'll give you a bath. As he carried her to the bathroom, the cat stayed still in his arms, a warm and incredible light body pressed against his chest. He was expecting the cat to bring a moment. Maybe as he opens the door, now? Or as he turns lights on, maybe this time? But nothing happened. The cat glanced around the new room and looked at him again with her intelligent, almost human-like gaze. Not a single muscle in her small body moved. She was curious and that's about it. She trusts me. He was about to ask her if she knows where they were and what was going to happen next, but that was just too much. So, it shouldn't be very difficult. The two of us can manage this. What do you think? He read somewhere a cat should get used to the new surrounds before bathing. Fear is born out of the cats. New scents, familiar objects, and the splashing of water. They are just shadows under the bed that will fall back if you get a better look at them. He carefully put the cat on the floor. She looked around the room again and returned her questioning eyes to him. It seemed like she got comfortable enough. He turned on the water in the shower and felt a gentle touch. The cat was already loitering around his feet. She was curious indeed. The shower isn't so bad as compared to the rain, is it? The joke came out a little awkward. He felt embarrassed and she didn't know why. Okay. Of course, there is always ways to see this completely. She's just a cat. Maybe it was because of how the water glistened on her skin, or she was looking at him from under a lower lash. She was actually watching. He met her eyes, and each time felt shame burn through him. But that shame was thick and sweet. It was little dizzy. His hand slid over smooth and wet skin, and each time he would ask himself, was it really necessary? Then he would feel her eyes on him, as his thoughts would melt, running down her thighs with the leather disappearing between her neat toes. The bathroom shimmered, molten, bright, pulsated with light or darkness. He felt he was losing his balance and pulled his hands away, but she turned and pressed it to the wet hot skin covered in a soapy veil. She guided it. He couldn't remember how he'd end up in the living room again. The cat was napping peacefully in his arms. He absently ran his hands down the cat's wet back, tracing the bumps of her spine with his fingers. I shall get you some food. Let me see what I have. He got up with just a tad bit difficulty, nothing he couldn't handle. Still, his body felt unusually heavy and unwieldy. He had to give the cat something to eat. He will lie down afterwards, and then, hell, maybe he'll even fall asleep. Maybe he should have gotten a cat from much earlier, a ball of fur with a pair of moon eyes and velvety voice that you can always negotiate with. And that's about it. That's kind of funny. He could have avoided all that suffering if only he had a cat. The kitchen blurred before his eyes. He got to the refrigerator and opened it. Squinting from the light and leaning on the door was way harder than he was supposed to. If the landlady was around at the time, she would have told him exactly so. Don't lean on the door. After all, these are house and the refrigerator, and everything should be neat and tidy in case she has to move new tenants in. Perhaps the landlady will have even warned him about the milk. The milk itself is completely harmless, unless, of course, you are allergic to lactose. But there is a special kind of lactose-free milk, right? What matters is bottle. Bottles, much like cats, can vary greatly, but this particular one was made of glass. If only the landlady was here, she would probably have told him not to touch the bottle because it's falling on the floor and the bottle might break. And then the milk will spill and you will have nothing to feed the nice cat he found. Or rather, it was a roof on him, and very timely because he was lying on the floor. He had been lying there for some time, and would have been lying still if he hadn't felt the light touch of something hot and rough on his cheek. It was almost like a dream, although of course comparing sleep with fainting isn't quite correct. No matter how you look at it, the floor beneath him was surprisingly hard, cold, and wet. He felt all of those three qualities clearly and was afraid to imagine what would happen if he tried to move. But he had to move one way or another. at least to see what's up, because something odd and rough was still sliding up his cheek, gradually creeping out to his ear. He felt a warm breath, and then a cautious bite. Ouch! He jumped on the spot. A shadow rushed to the side, and then calmly began to lap milk from a puddle. So he dropped the milk, is it? The cat. What are you doing? The cat looked at him briefly and licked her lips. No need to be this dramatic. You were lying around idly and you are not even a cat, see? Besides, you are soaked in milk. Well, you're right. I let you down and had to get my punishment. I let myself down too. Good lord, now there is cleaning to do until the next advent, like his mother would have said. I'll go get a rag. Stay here and don't ruin what's left of the kitchen while I'm gone. The cat watched him go with a skeptical look. Aren't you one? When he returned with the bucket, the cat was gone. Probably it went to sleep. What? The teeter of percent? What? The teeter? How to bake? How to bake what? In the kitchen, something exciting is happening. What the fuck? You'll need a blade. Did you take the pills? Scratch out the entrails. The Egyptians widely used honey for embalming and preserving food. Later, the recipes were adopted by the Greeks. I also add a teaspoon of apricot jam on. Before baking, put a teaspoon of butter on top of. Microwave for 5-7 minutes at full power. Don't listen to them scream. What the fuck? Bon appetit. Is this a dream? What the fuck is happening? The next time he saw her, it was in a few days or maybe in a week. He always had a bad sense of time, especially when he was immersed in his work. He still couldn't sleep, but at least he was making some progress with the script. It was narrative game project, as the customer called it, but actually meant do whatever you have to finish it on time, else forget about the payment. And so he did. I thought he was resentful and that got in the way a lot. The reason of those feelings was the cat. He knew how stupid that was, but he couldn't help it. He forgave her for the bite almost immediately. That wasn't the thing. He was bitter about how the cat ran away, despite him trying his best to take care of her. She was nowhere to be found in the house, so he immediately thought about an open window on the second floor. Maybe he should have closed it. He dwelled on the thought for a while. He even approached the window at some point, but in the end he decided not to do anything about it. He was hoping, and there was no shame in that. It's not the same as you turn her back. And she did. Oh, she appeared again. He had just settled himself on the sofa with some book. Some was the word, as he couldn't remember a thing from the cover. Even thought he read the title several times. The symbols were floating before his eyes, and of course he couldn't make out a word. No wonder considering he didn't sleep at all. When you think about it, it was surprising he could write in this state. Either way, he was barely following the book, so he wasn't upset at all when a fluffy head butted his hand. Hey, I'm trying to read here. And you don't seem to be getting anywhere. What does it matter anyways? Better scratch me right here. He complied. You were absent for so long, I thought you won't be back. Then why didn't you close the window upstairs? There's a big difference between expectations and hopes. You had learned that well. Why did you leave? Did I do anything wrong? The cat stayed silent. Bitterness, happiness. Happiness? Alright, doesn't matter that much. I'm happy to have you back. After all, there was no point in his grudge from the start. Nobody gains anything by holding on to small grudge and staying blind to what they really feel. He wouldn't have won anything. It's not a damn lottery. The cat rubbed against his arm again. He put the book down and gently placed her on his lap. The locket around her neck, unexpected cold, touched his skin. Then he got a hunch. Did you go home? I have no home. Well, someone must be caring about you if they put that collar on. Sometimes a collar is just a collar, don't you know? This time it was him who stayed silent. The cat buried her head in his stomach. Want me to take it off? No, it's mine now. So when it's like this, it's the cat that's talking. Besides, it's easier this way if I catch someone's eye on the streets. He nodded because if you think about it, that really was a reasonable choice. The cat's fur was thick and smooth, very pleasant to the touch. He wanted to bury his face in it, find out what it smelled like, what she smells like. Do you have a name? Of course, everything has a name. And what's yours? The cat looked at him carefully with her bright yellow eyes, as if saying, take a guess. But she didn't actually say anything. On her locket there was a small engraving, a crescent moon that was dimly shining in the pale light coming out of the window. Selene. The cat looked up at him, and her pupils flickered in two full moons in an eclipse. Then she rubbed against his arm one last time and stood up, stretching, arcing her back. Don't close the window on the second floor. I won't. She left, but the name stayed with him, in and around the house. Silly, so amid the glass, white in the moonlight, so whispered the long shadows of the branch outside the window. Focus on the name doesn't matter. Focus. What is Selene? For some reason the question bothered him. He vaguely remembered it had something to do with the mythology. Such things never really caught his interest, but fortunately he knew someone he could turn to. What else is supposed to be television? Hope something changed. Oh wait, what the hell is that? Huh? It says something changed, but where? This is the text. Hmm? I wonder what the hell is supposed to be, because there was something in here that changed. Uh, I can't stand them. And it's me who will have to take care of it after all. You're basically leaving the office. Ethan never liked cats, and the dogs too, not much of a difference. He didn't like the idea of keeping a predator at home, even a small one. He couldn't quite explain why. So now we are seeing two different people, this one, Hope, and Ethan. Hope sighed. She closed the tab with Catherine's website and slapped her husband slightly on the shoulder. Even so, the face of Persian cat, deeply depressed and equally concave, still lingered before his mind's eye. Ethan held up his hand in a conciliatory gesture. He knew it wasn't over yet. Hope is not the one to give in this easy. She never was, and for him there was something incredibly appealing about it. Come to think of it, quite possibly it will be him who capitulates in the end. In a relationship, you always have to sacrifice something. In 4.5 years, or even 5, according to Hope, he had learned this quite well. Said Hope frowned, looking at the screen. Seems like you got an email from, a tough one. I can't quite read it. It's just hit your work mailbox. Let me see. I hope I got a new project. The middle-aged are fine and all, but they are about to start pouring out of my ears. Ethan reached for his laptop, but Hope grabbed it and dodged him. Right, why don't we talk contracts on a Sunday evening? So which one of us is all work and no play? Well, such are the benefits of freelance. Come on, give it back. Hope giggled and leaned over the armrest, hanging over the floor. Hope's defense withstood several more attacks. Each time Ethan thought the laptop would definitely hit the floor. And then she gave Ethan a peck on the cheek and slid off the couch. The laptop returned to its owner. Alright, I give up. I mean, what if they actually give you a new content, but on the same old middle age? Now that will be a twist. Yeah, a hilarious one. But there was nothing about middle age in the letter, not a mention of payment too. Ethan read it several times. Leaving the formalities aside, there was but one question in the letter. Ethan, or rather the part of him that was responsible for finding the accurate answers, got immediately engaged by the wording. What is Selene? Ethan held that question around his mouth, as if tasting it. At a glance, the answer was simple. Ethan's real passion was the early Renaissance, but he was a history consultant after all. At least he liked to think of himself that way. The agency was paying for a reason. He needed no research to tell that Selene was the goddess of the moon in the ancient Greece. The question, however, seemed to be way more intricate in its nature. Or at least that's what Ethan wanted to think, because the Middle Ages were actually about to start pouring out of his ears. He was always diving into his work completely and living in an age where madness, curse, and death are contagious in an exhausting trial. He needed some distraction. Of course, he had a part-time job with those online courses, but the platform where he lectured wasn't planning anything new just yet. All in all, the request looked interesting, if not for one small matter, the payment. Or rather, the lack thereof. Ethan hesitated. The sender's name seemed familiar. He researched the email address and found out they already worked together on a couple of texts. Both times his efforts were duly paid for by the agency. Ethan never worked for free. It was his principle, but rather a matter of necessity. The problem here was the fact that Ethan loved what he was doing too much. And if you are trying to make money from what you love, that's a slippery slope. A free service there, an unpaid consultation here, and then you go back to splitting the shit protectors 8 hours a day, watching your dreams rust away. Besides, Ethan didn't want to let Hope down. Of course, she supported him when he decided to go freelance, but Ethan never wanted to take advantage of that. No, that won't do. He works only under contract and does not give free consultations. Just as he was about to give that as a response, Hope Fairhead popped from behind the door. Are you coming? On the walk, Hope brought up the cat thing a few more times. Ethan protested absently. His thoughts went back to the letter again and again, to that question. The more he thought about it, the more he wanted to find the answer. It was no longer a matter of helping an acquaintance whose name Ethan immediately forgot. No, it was Ethan himself who needed a little help with distraction and an answer. That was a weird thing to do, but Ethan waited until Hope was fast asleep. Only then did he sneak over his laptop to write a response. Certainly he had no real answer as of yet. He threw in a few dozen polite words, the general meaning of which was he had taken up the case. Then clicked send. When Ethan returned to bed, Hope was still breathing slow and deep. He listened to her breath for a while, trying not to think that he had broken his own rule. After all, he really needed distraction. No matter the strength of your affection, sooner or later you will want to take a break. It was another thing he had learned over the past 4.5 years. So, he's gonna help. If Ethan had to point out when things start to be off, he will say it was on Saturday. That is, about a week after the first letter. But this, of course, won't be accurate. Those weird things start happening almost immediately after he pressed the send button. The first night he saw a room in his dreams. A couch. The fuck? That's a fucking couch. A cheaped white ceiling and similarly rough walls lit with fluorescent lamps. Ethan couldn't see the lamps themselves, but he recognized the cold shimmering light. They often used those lamps in the office. The light filled the room to the brim. Ethan thought it was about to burst, and then the light would splash all over the room, just like the juice from a squished tomato. Apart from the walls and light, the room had a red sofa. The sofa stood just a bit aside from the center, not too large light. This light made the sofa seem to be trembling a little, and the room trembled with it. So this was after he sound, the first night that he start to see things. Not seeing, but dreaming with it. Suddenly Ethan thought it would be way better if the sofa was standing right in the middle. Then he felt something on his temple, a touch. He had to flinch, scream, stumble to the side, yet he couldn't. He was paralyzed. Only his eyes could move, and they desperately tried to reach beyond his field of vision, where something was touching his temple. Ethan felt a faint flow of air, as if someone was whispering in his ear. He did hear the whisper, just one word. Ethan no longer remembered what the word was when he jumped up in his bed, gasping for air. Hope muttered something in her sleep and turned to the other side. It took a long time to get back. The task at hand interested him much more than some muck spilling out of his subconscious. He was thinking about the task while he was chewing up on the morning toast, driving to the bank, and all the way back. It was just like a Christmas present waiting for its time in the closet. The more you tell yourself you shouldn't think about it, the more you do. At home, Ethan tried to stick to his plan, working on the project he was paid for, but ended up sitting over a single report for several hours. He couldn't squeeze out a letter. To hell with it. After all, he was almost done with his current project. It wouldn't be much of a problem if he presented the result a bit later on, would it? Besides, it was really time for him to get a briefer. One can't be spending so much time in a world where madness, curse, and death are contagious. To hell with it, Ethan thought as he closed the files of the project he was paid for. There was plenty of information, but Ethan knew you will not get an answer right away. The correct answers, just like the precious pearls, lay at great depths. He had to go down to the very bottom. Ethan was not afraid. He had done it many times. His counterpart might have to wait for a week or so, but Ethan knew he'll manage to crack the riddle. The fuck was that? What he didn't know is what else could be found at those great depths. At some point in his investigation, things started happening. He started hearing sparse phrases, even thought he never turned on TV or radio, and Hope wasn't even at home. When he sat in front of the screen, once again trying to connect the dots in his research, he could feel someone looking at the back of his head. When he turned around, of course there was no one in the room. Eventually, oh shit. Eventually taught himself not to turn around. He just got angry, pushing fingers into his temples when the familiar feeling appeared again. There was a fucking shadow appearing. What the hell? He started losing things, or rather things would appear and then appear in strangest place. One day he found his pencil in the freezer, stuck in a minced meat briquette. Even when the briquette melted down, he couldn't pull the whole pencil out. All Ethan got was a bloody stump. At this point, he could stop and think of it, but got struck by the coffee maker and mindlessly shoved the stump into the trash bin. Of course. Just throw it away. Whoa, what the fuck again? There was something wrong with the shadows too. They became sharper, thicker, and deeper, and it was the case in the whole apartment. Sometimes they moved. Of course, Ethan only felt like they were moving. It could have been any other way. Ethan didn't really pay attention to any of these, just like he did with that dream he had. All of that seemed very familiar, as he already experienced similar things during the periods of intense work, when his nervous system was exhausted by the workload. There was always a rational explanation: the stress, or those new, much more environmental friendly light bulbs that Hope had installed all around the apartment. Besides, it's always to dismiss these sort of things when you are deeply invested into something, and this question really got Ethan involved. Every time he seemed to get it right, his thought went off, like he was climbing a rock, but the safe ledge suddenly turned slippery, and next thing you know, he's at the bottom again. He never faced anything like that during his previous research. There were times he had to spend weeks or months looking for the right answers. Those were the tricky case, but at least he could always tell how his research is progressing. This time he was stumbling in his tracks, without knowing why, and that was all he could tell. The week was over, but he still had nothing to send back to his contact. In his reply, Aidan asked a couple of questions, not that he was really interested, just as courtesy. And that's how the surprising, exciting email conversation started. With this, Ethan contact grew to be something more, something of a friend maybe. He never asked how Ethan's work was progressing. This was the question Ethan asked himself, and the answer was never good for him. Of course, he started sleeping badly. Falling asleep was easy, but he woke up many times during the night, sometimes in cold sweat. Ethan could not remember his dreams. It's not dreams, it's fucking nightmares. That night he woke up about three or four times. At first, Ethan was lucky enough to fall asleep almost immediately after he woke up, but at some point his eyes got open again. This time, the sleep wouldn't come. Ethan felt terribly thirsty. He found not sleepers on the usual spot. The noise could wake up Hope, so he decided not to look for them, and only regretted it when approaching to the kitchen. The floor was bloody cold, so cold that Ethan unconsciously looked down. Okay, a shadow. And when he was looking up again, he saw a shadow. No doubt that shadow belonged to a woman, a naked woman. Ethan could clearly see the points of her nipples, and as the shadow turned around, no wonder it's freezing cold here. The shadow moved slowly along the wall, floating in a rectangular pool filled with moonlight. She was dancing. She was dancing, and the humming silence in Ethan's ears was her music. Ethan was watching her, unable to move. He was paralyzed, just like back then in his dream. But he did not remember it. At that moment, he didn't remember anything at all. Couldn't think about anything at all. What is this? He felt an itch in his eyes and the momentary urge to blink. For a fraction of a second, he could only see the thick, viscous darkness, and when he opened his eyes again, there was no shadow anymore. The glowing rectangle shifted its place and now lay on the kitchen floor at Ethan's feet. He could see the cold white light flowing into the seams between the tiles on the floor. For some reason, he took a deep breath and then stepped forward into the rectangle of light. Nothing happened. And what was supposed to happen? What did he really see? Did he really see anything? He walked deep into the room, much bolder, grabbed the decanter and started to drink in big, greedy sips. Water streamed down his chin and chest, hitting the tiles on the floor and pouring into the grooves of the seams. No, that wasn't a delusion. The kitchen was completely empty and the floor felt warm again. And yet, it wasn't a delusion. And all of this was begging for a rational explanation. That's why Ethan said he should talk to Hope in the morning. Something changed. But what? How the hell do you know something changed? What? A TV? Devil is made of clay and tomato soup, just like any human. Interview with the devil. It's getting late and then I come. She serves tomato soup. She used it to serve other things, but not as anymore. I'm in the tomato soup. They both eat tomato soup. That's how I get in. What the fuck? Huh? So this is what I got, is it? 69, okay. Hey? Mom is acting fun and smells funny too. She says she loves me all the time, but I'm a little bit when she's like that. Is it raining? What the fuck? Okay. Did you give anyone the apartment keys, by chance? What? Hope froze with a cup at her lips and blinked several times. Maybe you have let someone in? I didn't, no. What's with those questions? I feel like someone is visiting our place. What you mean? Exactly what I said. It's been a while since I stopped things vanish, and yesterday, Hope frowned. She looked at it as if a thought had just popped out of his mouth. Yesterday, you what? Answer evasively, say it bluntly. I'm gonna say it bluntly. I saw someone in our kitchen last night. Some girl. The deep line on Hope's forehead disappeared. She leaned back in her chair and laughed, throwing her head back. Oof, what a show you put on. Okay, fine, I confess, I did steal your cupcake. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I barely see you lately, so sweet pages are my best shot to get some fun at night. Damn, I didn't realize you still remember that cupcake even existed. It was lying around in the fridge for what, 3 days? Hope glanced at Ethan, expecting him to start laughing too, yet he still looked very serious. She noticed for the first time that the whites of his eyes were pinkish and full of broken capillaries. Her smile slowly faded. Come on, maybe you have left the keys unattended somewhere? I always leave my keys when I'm in the office, but I'm pretty sure there are no cat burglars among my colleagues. Come to think of it, we should that will balance the risk of going broke we have a monthly basis. You sure none of your colleagues will play a joke on us? A joke? Good God, Ethan, you look like you are about to eat me alive. Take a bun instead, tastes better, trust me. Hope pulled her chair closer to Ethan and took his hand. Please, son, promise you will take a break after that project of yours is finished. I mean, one psych is enough for our family. You promise? Ethan's son felt like a total idiot. A tired total idiot. A naked girl in their kitchen? Yeah, sure. He probably overworked to the point he started being delirious at times, maybe even walk in his sleep. He squeezed Hope's fingers slightly. I promise. Sorry, I'm a moron. I probably stopped seeing the difference between dream and reality. Why don't you call Laura? No, a shrink is the last thing I need right now. My bad, sure, but that's cruel. What I need is to finish that project. After that, all the gears in my head will fall into place. I give you my word. Don't be like that. I mean, there's no need to start full-fledged therapy anyway. Sometimes talking through your worries with a professional is all it takes to feel better. At least I should not have pressed you on it. I get that you have enough problems of your own right now. How is it going in your new position? Hope rested her head on his shoulder and shrugged. Not fired yet, apparently. Seriously though, I haven't figured it out yet. Those new responsibilities are exciting, but I always feel like I'm 10 times slower than I should be. I should probably get ready for a nice fat piece of overtime by the end of the month. Ethan kissed her forehead, closed his eyes, and squeezed the bridge of his nose. Well, I'm not ahead of the part myself yet, but I seem to have the same stuff on my plate. Just how do you manage not to pester me with stupid questions? Well, I eat cupcakes at night. You should give it a try. Hope poked Ethan's cheek a couple of times with her finger. Anyway, don't worry, I didn't give keys to anyone, and the only cat anything I've let inside was an actual stray cat. Now that I think of it, it's been ages since we had any company. Maybe we should... A cat? What cat? Hope sighed and pulled it away. Please don't get all worked up, okay? At least I'm being open with you. Don't worry, she didn't wander around. Hope, we talked this over already. We talked over what? The fact that what I want doesn't really matter? Damn it, Hope, this is my apartment, and you are staying here alone now. Hope finished her tea in a couple of gulps. I have to go to the office. She stopped at the door, not turning around. Sorry about the cat. She was really skinny and felt sorry for her. I also feel sorry for myself, Ethan, because I'm lonely, really lonely. This time, Ethan felt like an angry idiot. He got up from the table and reached for Hope. Hope, I don't. I will start crying. It will take time, and I don't have any to spare right now. See you tonight. See you tonight. So it was Selene that she let it in the house a couple of times. He didn't know what else to say, so he followed Hope into the hall like a silent shadow. He thought the right words would come to him, but the entrance door closed, and he remained silent. Ethan sighed. He regretted his decision to talk about the night episode. He regretted how the talk turned out. He felt sorry for himself and for Hope. After all, Ethan was well aware of that he really didn't spend enough time with her. At first because of the Asian's project, now because of the question to which he still could not find an answer. It was time to end this. He's going to make some coffee, then he will open the laptop and write up some answer. It won't be an accurate one, but it's really time to finish that work marathon. After all, he doesn't even get paid for this his time. Ethan nodded to the closed door and turned around, ready to execute the plan. That's when he saw her. Just for a split second, but damn it, he saw her. A black-haired girl flashed in the doorway of one of the rooms. Not even flashed, but drifted, like a... Ethan's mouth went dry. Shadow. Of course, there was no one in the room. This has gone too far. Ethan had gone too far, but he couldn't turn back, even thought he was going to. He didn't even make any coffee. He wanted to get rid of that question, get a good night's sleep, and forget about the whole thing. Forget about the shadow that danced in his kitchen. Forget about the pale silhouette that wandered through his apartment. Forget that at this very moment someone... Ethan clenched his teeth, not with anger, but with some new emotion he couldn't name. The blood hummed in his ears louder and louder. It will all be over after he writes the letter. It will be over. He opened his laptop, his hands were shaking a little, and he was putting his fingers over the keyboard when his cell phone rang. Ethan flinched. He stared blankly for a few seconds at the vibrating rectangle of glass and plastic crawled across the table. Do not answer, don't do it. Suddenly he grabbed the phone and pushed the accept button. Ethan himself didn't know how that happened. He just did it, that's all. The phone pressed tight against his ear. He waited for a hoarse, gurgling voice to call his name and tell him to look behind. Or what is supposed to happen in case like this? It was Hope. Ethan. Hope? Were you expecting someone else, you dolt? Okay, sorry, I'm super uneasy and so I'm talking nonsense. Yeah, I'm uneasy too. And that was completely true. Look, am I distracting you right now? You are, and I'm very happy about that. Go on, please. That's great. Look, it didn't come off well at breakfast, right? Yes. I'm sorry, I'm being awful. No, I'm sorry. Both of us have it hard now, so let's try not to fight, okay? Great idea. Why don't we go out tonight? Say for groceries. Contest going out if you ask me. I'll go crazy being coupled up like that. Oh, so that's what's driving me nuts. Should go out for zucchini more often. So, what do you say? Okay, we're going to buy all the zucchini tonight. Hope laughed. Ethan suddenly realized that the blood wasn't buzzing in his ears. No one was looking at the back of his head. If he turned around, he would only see Hope's socks that she left on the chair again. Hope, hmm? I love you. I love you too very much. See you tonight. After finishing the call, he turned around. The socks were resting peacefully on the chair, which meant everything was okay. He went back to the mail and only then noticed several new letters. Two of them were from his counterpart. Ethan hesitated. He had already decided his course of action concerning the question, so there was no harm in taking a look. He won't feel any guilt. After all, he had already done far more than he should have. Of course, he's a lifesaver for those who wanted to sell books mentioning historical accuracy, but having no intention to pay for it properly. And so what? He doesn't have to do a perfect job for free. Hell, he doesn't even have even work for free. That's what Ethan thought. Then he opened the two letters he got and changed his highly reasonable decision. His counterpart was asking how soon he would get an answer. So this happened after all. The tone was very polite and apologetic. He wasn't expecting anything, but he really needed the help of someone competent. According to the email, she wasn't doing very well. The poor man had been suffering from insomnia for an insane amount of time, and it seemed that he too began imagining things. It was as he even saw himself from the other outside. He suddenly felt very sorry for his acquaintance. Of course, he had begun to feel sorry for him early, but Ethan felt a sharp, bitter pity. He realized that if he helps his acquaintance, he will help himself, but he steps back now. What is the value of a specialist who is afraid of a little challenge? As Hope said, the career ladder is made of thorn. Of course, you no longer work in an office, but professional growth requires twice as much effort if you are self-employed. And besides Ethan and Hope, Hope who never gives in so easily and forgets her socks on the chair. Hope who loves him very much. Hope will go to the store with him tonight, because being coupled up like that can drive one crazy. This must be what was happening to his acquaintance right now. Ethan had to help him, not because of money, but because he could, and because it was the right thing to do. They will both finish their projects, and then they will have a good rest. They might even go out together. So Ethan thought and got back to the question with the newfound strength. The page of books did not rustle in the far corner of the room. The shadows weren't wandering in the corridors, and certainly no one looked at the back of his head until the evening. And in the evening, Hope came back. Just let me only quick save. Hope looked up from her magazine and leaned over the armrest. You had a call from the agency? Ethan just got back from the shower. He froze in place, clutching the towel at his waist. Something cold stirred uncomfortably in his stomach. The project. He had completely forgotten about this. The deadline was very close. He started for the phone, but Hope just waved her hand lazily. Don't worry, I picked up. What did you tell them? I told them you stopped eating, sleeping, and loving anything other than work, so they'll get their files all nice and shiny. Pretty accurate, huh? Yeah. Just don't pick up my phone again, okay? Hope shrugged. Sure. I mean, it was you who asked me to answer the calls in the first place. Yes, I know. When I just start working for them, it was important to let them see how I'm always in touch. Now that I've passed the probation period, there's no point in piling this on you any longer. Thank you for covering for me. No problem. If you are getting a call and I'm not too lazy to go pick it, I can keep watching your back. No, you really shouldn't. This project is complicated. I'd rather deal with it myself. Ethan sat rigid. He never considered himself a good liar, but Hope didn't seem to notice anything. She sighed, pretending to be upset and rolled her eyes. Well now, guess I'm being fired from an unpaid secretary position without any honors or compensation. Capitalism sucks. Ethan leaned over, tucked a strand of blood hair behind her ear, and looked into her eyes. His hand remained on Hope's cheek. Your help is very important to me. Hope's hand went over his. She closed her eyes. I know, I couldn't have done it without you. What else is new? They kissed. When Hope pulled away, she looked pleased, a slight smile on her lips. Are we still going to the store? I'm not sure. They reached for each other again, but the phone gave a shrill ring. After the phone call this morning, Ethan turned the silent mode off. Oh well, my city needs me. Ethan briefly pressed his lips to her forehead. Hope sighed and slapped his ass. If God exists, he really wants us to zucchini. I'll go and get dressed. The call was from the agency. They needed more details on the age. Ethan went out into the hallway and tried to make it sound as plausible as he could. Yes, he understands that deadline is very close. No, there were no serious itch in the work. Yes, he will send everything on time. When the call finally ended, Ethan's neck and face were flushed by this time. He was a lousy liar after all. Ethan had to catch his breath. When he returned to the room, Hope was reaching for his laptop. What are you doing? Hope glanced at him over the shoulder. This time she looked surprised. Nothing special really, just wanted to print out some discount coupons. What about it? Ethan left a bunch of files and tabs open. They had nothing to do with the agent's project, and he didn't want Hope to see them. After all, she did know enough about these projects to serve as a sort of secretary. But all unpaid. It was paid for. Maybe his fears were irrational. Maybe Hope wouldn't blame him. But Ethan felt ashamed, as and he didn't want to take any chance after what happened this morning. I have lots of unsaved files in there. Some important information might get lost. Can I print those coupons myself? Ethan felt the heat rise again in his neck and cheeks. Hope stared at him for a few seconds. Ethan couldn't read the expression on her face, and that kept him out. He was ready to hear the reproach, he even agreed with them in his mind, but Hope simply walked away. Sure, I'll send them to your email. He's like, woof, safe. They spent most of the way to the store in tense silence. A few times Ethan asked something just to make sure Hope was still talking to him. Hope thought the answers were dry, and she never even attempted to make a joke. It's not that bad, Ethan told himself. It's not that bad at all. If you repeat it again and again, you can buy a little time, but in the end the anxiety will prevail. It always does. Ethan's mind quickly figured out the owner was trying to trick it and spat out chewing gum. At that moment, Ethan got caught in an avalanche of thoughts he didn't want to deal with, and couldn't in his current state. Something had to be done, to be said, but what? Maybe he should actually do something after all? Ethan imagined touching Hope's fingers and immediately saw her pulling the hand back, her eyes glistening. How she opens her mouth to ask the question, Ethan had no answer to. They will have to talk one way or another. Ethan didn't know where to start without burying himself even deeper. He had been thinking about it the whole way, but never came up with anything. Because of work. The huge supermarket on the next block, a place they had long dubbed the store, was bustling with life despite the rather late hour. As soon as they entered the large glass doors, the tension began to come off on its own. The cards were scarce, but Ethan got them one in exchange for a coupon. Hope gave him a thumbs up with not bad at all expression on her face. Yup, enthusiastically presented a huge colorful, utterly ludicrous mug, and Ethan immediately agreed they had to buy it. They tried to find a pair for the mug, but the brooding supermarket employee said it was the last one. They were a little disappointed, but well, at least that was something. Looking for the mug was the thing that finally did the trick. Now they were huddled together, looking for their favorite treats and arguing about which breakfast cereals are the best. That's how it was until they reached the meat department. I'll go pick something out before it's all clear. Hope nodded absently. She was stuck at one of the big fridges in the middle of the hall. Okay, I'll be waiting for you here. The meat shelves were off this hour. Ethan was hoping to find a steak or some minced meat. However, he soon forgot about both. Because he found out Selene, right? There was a girl standing by one of the shelves. Ethan couldn't see her face, only her pale back under a white dress with thin straps, and also her disheveled hair. Ethan's cheek was stung with cold, as if his face was lying on the shelf in one of the refrigerated display cases. What the? Just between the pork ribs and a long ribeye in a black tray. Is that her? Ethan took a few uncertain steps forward. Then he backed away, almost knocking over a nice old lady. He couldn't even muster an apology, grabbed the first thing that came to hand, and turned around the nearest row of shelves. He tried not to run, because it would have looked up too stupid. Ethan explained to himself as he reached at the end of the row and peered around the corner. The girl was still picking out meat. Isn't what we are doing now stupid too? For sure it is, Ethan agreed with himself. The cold no longer burned his cheeks, and the girl seemed quite ordinary, except she was dressed too lightly for the crits. Ethan smiled to his own thoughts. Generally speaking, the girl was rather attractive, and her light clothing allowed one to fully appreciate it. her thin waist passing into a seductive curve of her hips and buttocks. Then, what? I was asking broccoli or Brussels sprouts. Hope stood still with two colorful plastic bags in her hands, looking at Ethan questioningly. He blinked several times, squinting as if he had just stepped out into the bright light from a darkened room. When did he get back to Hope? Why was he holding a bottle of Thousand Islands dressing? I don't know. He was a little dizzy. Are you alright? Yeah, never mind. I'm sorry, I was just lost in thought. Hope tried not to look in the direction Ethan had been focused on for so long. She really tried, but sometimes put in. At that very moment, the dark-haired girl's light white dress was floating away from the mid shelves. She must have finally made her choice. I see. For a moment, Ethan thought both colorful plastic bags were about to slap him in the face. But Hope just smiled and tossed the bags into the cart. Ethan heard them crunch loudly as they hit the bottom. Well, let's take both. Variety is the spice of life. Huh. They haven't bought any zucchini. Of course, she didn't say anything over there about zucchini. Oops, I even passed that. The walls were still trembling soft in cold light. Everything in the room, including the air, was losing tension, anguishing in anticipation of what was about to happen. And something was really about to happen, no doubt about it. Ethan suddenly realized he was looking at the room from an odd angle. He seemed to be standing on something, but he couldn't feel anything under his feet, no support. He tried to look down, but only saw the shimmering hair. He had no legs, and nothing above the missing legs, as if he was not there, or rather he was. The shimmering air, the sheeted ceiling, and the walls that were still trembling. He was the red sofa standing a little away from the center, and a couple of unremarkable white doors on opposite walls of the room that were not there the last time, and that should not have been there. Nothing can be done about it now. Doors have appeared, and there is nothing that can be done about it now. The light grew dim, now pulsating noticeably. It was still emanating from the room in its entirety, reflecting from the white walls, but most of all from the twin bra on the wall between two doors that were not supposed to be. For some reason, Ethan tried to catch the rhythm of the light with his breath, yet he couldn't. Like, what else is supposed to be that thing? There were two figures sitting on the sofa, one fair, the other dark. The dark one came into the room through one of the doors, but Ethan couldn't guess which one. The fair one was Hope. Okay. Hope, what are you doing here? You can't be here, you have to leave right now, or something will happen. The pulse of light became faster. The dark one moved towards Hope and tucked a blonde hair strand behind her ear. Everything was happening very slowly, as if underwater. There was something odd about the Dark One. Something about her was wrong, but Ethan couldn't guess what. She leaned towards Hope's ear and covered her mouth with her hand, and Hope leaned towards her and listened very carefully, as if they had a mutual secret amongst themselves. Something was about to happen. They both looked at Ethan. Even thought Ethan wasn't there, or rather, he wasn't aware, because no white room ever existed. Then one of them smiled. The dark one's fingers slid down Hope's chin, a soft rounded line. They were no longer looking at Ethan, only at each other very closely, and were slowly inhaling the light. Okay. The dark one stroked Hope's cheek, and there was lighted. Ethan saw drops of saliva glistening on their lips. The dark one licked her lips and raised her tongue to make space for a long black snake as it goes out of her mouth. The snake stayed away to Hope. Hope closed her eyes. Now the snake was stroking her cheek, long and black, over and over again in a spiral, always in a spiral. Hope reached for the band that covered her eyes, and the dark girl reached for a sunset. Yet there was no snake, it was just a black ribbon, a poisonous ribbon, covered in scales. The pulse of the room became faster. One of the lamps came into an eclipse. She has a number of phases flew. The bodies of two girls merged on the red sofa, and his own flesh was shaking and shrieking. Ligaments, valves, bones, vessels in place where they came very close to the shabby red upholstery. His heart rate became faster, faster, faster. And then something happened. Ethan woke up. His breath was bubbling in his throat. The ceiling above him was flaring with immeasurable darkness, and down below his stomach he felt a searing heat. The heat was so intense Ethan had to sneak into the bathroom, and as his old man used to say, he had to squeeze it off. And not just once, but whooping too. After that, Ethan loomed over the sink and was looking at himself in a small rectangular mirror for quite a while. At some point, his lips started trembling. Ethan did not wait to see where this was going. He spat into the sink, let the water him in for a while. Then he turned the lights off. Still don't understand what all this is supposed to be. A curtain? See, something changed. It's the TV again. How to make tomato soup. What's the point of this? At some point they had to remove her fingernail, an accident at the factory. What? She got lost. It's legal, but it's painful still. Level comes from little cracks they don't tell you at school. What? What the fuck? No time to cook? We got an answer on the shelf. Tomato soup. Made with fresh tomatoes, Aunt. I wish you'll never been born. What the fuck? So now it shows the tomato soup. Cooking show. Commercial break. What the fuck? January 11. The new school is okay. I wish I could make friends with someone though. Mom is working late again. It's fine. I've left a very heavy box when we moved in. Mommy couldn't pick it up herself. I'm a big boy now. Big boys aren't afraid of anything. I'll just turn on the lights and watch TV with Timu and my friends. Only the cool stuff. September 15. The bus driver saw me. He didn't laugh at me and didn't get mad like mom. Even a loud fuck. That was fast. Damn it. But I still don't understand what's the point of that. He didn't want to wake up, to see a hidden grudge in Hope's eyes, to listen to the awkward silence and to seize every opportunity to say a word to break it. But morning did come, and Ethan was in for a surprise. Everything was fine, very much so. He got up early to make superior breakfast, the kind Ethan was never able to cook, even when he really wanted to. She was talking to him. She was joking. She listed at least 10 places they would go when their schedules became more relaxed. The nightmare seemed to be over. Simply washed away down the drain with the rest of all things excess he used to have in his body. The image was so real that Ethan got completely relaxed, let his guard down, dazed by the cute nonsense, waffles with cream and delicious Turkish coffee. Then Hope asked a question. Do you think a darker hair color will suit me? Oh shit. The coffee suddenly turned solid and stuck in his throat. Ethan felt as if it wasn't coffee at all, but finely grown glass. He coughed. What? Hope put her elbows on the table and sipped from her cup as if nothing had happened. I was just thinking about becoming a brunette. So this is blonde, is it? Alright. It said blonde, right? But blonde will be more light, but okay. What do you say, huh? I don't know. I'm fine everything as it is. As long as you like it, I guess. A tiny piece of glass was still scratching him from the inside. Ethan tried to clear his throat, but it didn't get much better. But why? Were you thinking about it? Ethan started to speak. He felt as if he was falling to a pit, and the air was whistling in his ears. Well, one has to change from time to time. Variety is good, isn't that right? She took another sip. Besides, I find plenty of dark hair all over the apartment. Not very long, but not too short either. About this length. Even before Hope tapped her neck with the edge of her hand, Ethan knew where the hand would stop, because it's Selene. And so I thought, if I go brunette, I can't believe those hairs are mine. But brunette, Selene is not brunette. Selene is a black hair, right? So that's why I thought this was like brunette, brownish brownish hair. But this, for what they say, is a blonde. Hope's lips stretched and the corners of her mouth turned up, but she wasn't smiling. This isn't happening. This just can't be happening. He must still be asleep. This is a dream, just a shitty dream, and it will end. Now Ethan desperately wanted morning to come, but morning just couldn't come for the second time in a day. Hope leaned back in her chair and looked at him with her head on one side and a fake smile moldering on her lips. Something had to be done about it, all of it, right this moment. Come up with an explanation that is a lie, or try to explain truth. Oof. I'm gonna say the truth. Look, something strange is going on. Yeah, I could tell as much. Hope, I'm serious. Something strange is going on and I have no explanations. Neither good nor bad, none at all. Oh, really? Actually, I might have an idea or two. Wait, I'm not saying that yesterday in store. Ethan stopped short. Go on. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. I'm not saying I didn't stare at that girl. I did, and it's obvious. I was trying to. She reminds me of someone, and I was trying to figure out if I was mistaken. I know what it looks like, and it's my fault. Ethan tried to omit the part about well-rounded buttocks under the light-flowing fabric. Not because he wanted to look better, but because he knew it would hurt Hope, and he really didn't want to hurt her. Please forgive me if you can. I did a shitty thing, but I'm really sorry. He put his hands on the table so that their fingers touched a little. Hope didn't move away. Next time we go shopping, you can stare at everyone you like. I'll try my best not to cry. Can't promise anything though. Hope winced, but Ethan knew she was hiding a smile. Alright then. But keep in mind, I'll pick the hottest ones. I don't stand a chance, do I? She smiled with her and ruffled his hair. Absolutely. About the heirs. Hope's smile disappeared without a trace. I don't know where they came from. Seriously, there's something wrong here. Ethan, please, I don't want to. No, listen, please. I really think that some intruder is getting inside our apartment somehow. Do you believe me? Hope looked at him for a while. Then she shivered. Damn you, Ethan. Yes, I do believe you. I don't understand how this happens or what they want, but I think it's time to call the police and let them sort it out. It's their job after all. Maybe you should actually call the time. Yes, I'll do that as well. Hope pressed his hand. Let's promise each other we won't go crazy, okay? I also see things, all sorts of things. I mean, sometimes you find airs, just some damn airs, and you start questioning everything. We just need to get through this dark time somehow. It will get better, I'm sure it will. Ethan nodded. Yeah. Hope pressed his hand again and got up from the table. Okay, I have to go now. I'll probably be late and will have to hold up at work today. Should I meet you after? Maybe. I'll call you later, I guess. Hope. Hmm? I love you. She smiles. I love you too. Very much. Don't forget to call Laura. Ethan nodded absently. Don't fucking call Laura. When the door shut behind Hope, Ethan called Laura. Hope found Laura a long time ago. She seemed like Laura helped her a lot. At least that's what Hope herself said. Ethan didn't know any details or wanted to since Hope hadn't told him. After all, psychotherapy is very personal matter, so personal that Ethan felt as if he were standing naked in the middle of a busy street when he had to describe what was happening to him. Apparently no one can get used to this too, as by the middle of the story he was sparing no details. To Ethan's surprise, when he mentioned the disturbing emails from his contact that were kind of getting on his nerves, Laura perked up. You are saying you have since become quite close to your acquaintance. You empathize and try to help him, right? Well, yes, something like that. And your contact's letters contain vivid, disturbing imagery, yes? Imagery that evoked a certain response from you, is that right? You could say that. He's a writer after all, vivid images are his livelihood. Do you know what induced delusion disorder is, Mr. Harrison? Ethan tried to recall. He definitely read about it, but didn't look into much detail. Is that the thing that explains mass insanity? Like that dancing plague of 1518 in Strasbourg? That's right. This story is also called Folie à deux, or Madness for Two. Sounds romantic, doesn't it? Laura giggled. Ethan thought she herself was not all to say. Of course she wasn't. She had to deal with guys like me all the time. But Laura had already returned to her usual tone, calm and measured. This condition causes perfectly healthy people to experience various, let's say, negative effects. It works like this. We have a source of delirium and those who perceive it, one or more people. As you correctly noted, sometimes this disorder can take on a truly massive scale. There is usually an emotional connection between the victims of this condition. Your wife is also at risk, unfortunately. Laura paused. I can't make a diagnosis in such a format, Mr. Harrison. However, I think you need to limit contact with your acquaintance, at least for the time being. It might be the source of the unpleasant state you are experiencing. Would you like to make an appointment for a consultation? Ethan politely declined. Laura listened to the rest of what he had to say. She asked what pills Ethan was taking. Ethan wasn't taking any except aspirin because he had a lot of headaches lately. She advised him to reduce the workload, follow the daily routine, and take light sedatives if necessary. Something herbal, maybe. Without meeting in person, there was much Laura could offer, and Ethan had no energy, time, or money to start to full-on therapy, as Hope called it. Ethan thanked Laura with all his heart, finished the call, stretched and took a deep breath that made his ribs ache. Then he smiled. Thought no full-on therapy was involved. This conversation still made Ethan feel much better. The reality made sense again, and nothing out of the ordinary was happening. Nothing he couldn't handle. He stretched again and was about to go for another cup of coffee while his breath, the steady deep breath of a man who's got all caught in his throat. Ethan felt small hair up. Someone was looking at the back of his head. Ethan turned around slowly. Oh god. She's in there? I'm calling the police. Ethan spoke each word loud and clear. It was a decent plan, an actually decent one, and it certainly wasn't funny in any way. And yet the girl sitting on the windowsill was silently laughing, covering white teeth with her hand. What? She's right there? The girl from the supermarket. The girl from the dream. She was still wearing a light white dress, even though in the morning temperature dropped to 50 degrees Fahrenheit and it was going to rain. One of the straps fell down to the side, but the girl was in no hurry to put it back. She swung her crossed legs a little, looking at Ethan from under her brow with the smile of a child who had a hilarious mischief in mind. Did I say something funny? The girl quickly raised her eyes and shrugged slightly, still holding back the smile. Just as before, she did not make a sound. Even as human, she could be mute, but decided to make one last attempt. Just one question, then he calls the cops. Who are you? How did you get in here? Fuck. How did you get in here? The girl put her lean finger with a neat black nail to her lips, while the fingers of her other hand shaped the figure of a man. She pointed at the figure with her eyes. Ethan felt sick of the farce that was happening. He thought he should call the cops immediately. The hand clutching the phone continued to hang limply. The finger man looked around and started walking along the window, slope with his finger legs. 1, 2, 3. Then something else happened. Ethan failed to understand what it was. The next moment, the finger man was walking on the sill, and the girl was making it with her other hand. Then she smiled widely and put both palms on her chest. She looked absolutely happy. I was invited. Like it said, say that stray cat, which probably it was her. Suddenly she cast a gloomy look at Ethan. Her black eyes gave a cold glimmer. It's really rude to come in without an invitation. A moment later the girl reached for something and took a sip. Ethan's throat became tight with blood that abruptly rushed to his head. Where? How did you get this? The girl traced Ethan's gesture with a genuinely surprised look, and the next moment she parted fingers. She parted her fingers. Hope's huge colorful cup, the one they just got at start, tinkled hurtfully as it struck the floor and then shattered to pieces. Just like that, there was a brief moment when the cup was lying peacefully on the floor. Ethan got enough time to hope it would endure the fall. And then the fragments burst everywhere at once, and the furious white light broke out from the inside. But no, that was milk, just some milk. You shouldn't have spooked me, you know. Now look what you've done. The poor cup is so broken. So many many teeny pieces. There's no way to mend it at all. Ethan was suffocating. What the hell are you doing here? What do you want from me? The girl bit her lip and twisted a fallen shoulder strap between fingers. The top of the dress slid over. Do you want me to leave? But I may run into Hope. Right at the door, Ethan. She forgot her pass and will be here any minute. What will the poor girl think? The girl looked over her shoulder and her face instantly lit up. Oh ho ho! It's her! Here she is! Hope is simply amazing, accurate to a minute. Hello, hello! The girl turned over on her stomach, leaned on the sill and waved vigorously to someone invisible. Her dress completely slid down. That bitch, Eden will bet her teeth are flashing right through the window. Drag her away from the window. Don't come any closer. Drag her away from the window. Ugh, drag her away like take it out of the house, is it? Don't come any closer. What the hell happens? Oh, she's crying. Eden couldn't see it, but he knew. He felt that Hope was really standing down there, and she was looking at the window, of course, although she couldn't see much anymore as a blurry veil covered her eyes. The girl slowly turned around and stared at him with her eyes wide open without blinking. Her shoulders shook as she was going to cry, but she was laughing. At first it was a couple of stifled laughs, then it became laughter of someone screams. He asked to stop it, right now. He didn't want to rush to the window, but took just one step and froze in place. The girl must be out of her mind. She might have a syringe and doesn't want any more problems. He only wants this thing removed from his window sill, welded in a steel box and dumped somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic. He still had his phone in his hand. What the fuck? 911, what's the urgency? The bitch shrank, hunched, but kept cackling like a pack of coyotes, yelping on a moonlight night. She was riffing with laughter, and the pale rags of dry, flabby skin were shaking her out. He suddenly thought she was much older than he thought at first. What's going on? Ethan looked at her for the last time, a mixture of hate and disgusting in his eyes, and turned away, running his fingers through her hair. There's a strange in my apartment, a woman most likely on drugs or just insane. Can you see her right now? Ethan could see only the wall in front of him, but he heard a deafening howl. It was echoing through his skull, beating into his temporal bones like a desperate bird. Ethan clenched his teeth. Yes, does she have a weapon? Maybe. She's threatening me. Can you leave the apartment? No. This scum can escape and I don't want her to get. Ethan hesitated. I can't hear you. Sir, what's happening? Speak up, I can't hear you. What's happening? The terrifying laughter kept echoing into ears. There was no one behind him. The curtain is supposed to be the window where she appears. Right? What the fuck just happened? Well, it's covering the window. He approaches the window slowly, as if it was happening in a dream. The shards of Hope's cup crunched under his feet. Just like before, the window was closed. Ethan opened it and carefully looked down. He did not see the body, too good to be true, but he had to check. Only the grey pavement, which gradually turned black as it actually started raining. Ethan looked across the street, just in time to notice the familiar cream-colored coat disappearing behind the corner of the nearby house. Hope! Hope! He screamed so loud that something snapped in his throat, but she didn't hear him. Or maybe she didn't want to hear. Ethan called her at least 100 times. Hope didn't answer. Ethan thought he could come to her office, but eventually decided it would only make things worse. The police were in his apartment 23 minutes, 40 seconds later. They didn't find any signs of forced entry, and the call record, as Ethan found out later, had nothing that resembled laughter or howling. No extraneous sounds, as the officer said. It's like imagination, right? Is what it looks like. Hope returned sometime between late at night and early in the morning. The skin on her cheekbones was taut and almost transparent, and there were deep shadows under her eyes, as if she hadn't slept in a long time. She smelled of strong alcohol. Ethan went out of the dark room to her, but he didn't sleep and didn't turn on the light either. Things that lurk in the dream. He even wished that something he had been dreading for the past month, if I could name the feeling he had, would come out of the greasy blackness of the shadows and snap his neck, but everything in the apartment was sparkling calm except for Ethan himself. Hope. Hope stared at him in silence, swaying a little. Instead of pupils, she had dark holes. I've been thinking a lot about what I would say to you if you came back. What can I say? Hope's face showed no emotion. It seemed like she didn't even blink. Anyway, I realized that I can only tell the truth, no matter how crazy it sounds. If I try to cheat, it only gets worse, right? Ethan gave a short, nervous laugh. Anyway, Ethan had plenty of time to think about what he was going to say, but he still didn't know where to start. Some time ago, I don't remember exactly, I started seeing a girl. Who is she, Ethan? I don't know. Is it Sophie? Who? Sophie Wolf. Your student from that online course on. Hope made a fake gesture with her hand. Movies from the late Victorian era. Ethan didn't know why he said that, but Hope obediently repeated in a flat voice. I remember you were really impressed with her. You always liked smart girls, and this one was also beautiful. Hope, this isn't what you think. Think? Who says I think? Thinking is too painful. Wait, hold on. Ethan disappeared into the room and came back a few minutes later. The darkness of the hallway was diluted by the light of the screen. Hope covered her eyes with her hand, either from the brightness of the screen itself or because she didn't want to see whatever there was. What is it all about? Here, look, it's Sophie Wolf. On the screen, in fact, was the profile of Sophie Wolf, a student. On the photo, Sophie was squinting, either from the bright sun or because her curly red hair was getting in her eyes. A small brown-haired girl snuggled up to her with a shy smile. They are a nice couple. If I remember right, they had a wedding this year. Then who is? I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. I just want her out of my life. But this bitch follows me. Well, she used to follow, but now I don't think. I don't think I'll ever see her again. Is it good or bad? Oh, please. If you want to leave, I understand. But if you are willing to give me a chance, I promise I'll do my best to mend it all. He couldn't really promise, but he was too eager for the nightmare, real or imagined, to finally end. No more weird stories, please, Hope. I don't need anyone but you. If you can give. He couldn't finish because Hope kissed him. Her bag hit the floor with a thud. The rest of the night actually went fine. Well, even more than that, except for the fact they were too busy to get any sleep. Oh, Jesus. At least everything was going okay until the moment when, instead of Hope's face, just for a moment, Ethan saw. He couldn't tell her. He mumbled something about not feeling well and collapsed on his back, panting. He closed his eyes so that Hope would accidentally catch a glimpse of what he saw. Nothing happened. It wasn't real. It's fine. She understands, said Hope. Jesus. I remember her face. Where's Timo? Let's look for him together. Maybe he's up the tree chasing the birds. No, I can see him. Maybe he's in the reeds watching the fish. No, I know. Let's look some more. Maybe he's on the roadside under the blue plastic bag. It's not there. It's not there. It's not there. It's not there. A lot of it's not there. So this is again the tomato. Wait, there's more. The conditions of love. What have you done? I wanted to save you. I want to save us both. You fool. That's right. But I just can't lose you. It's too late. It's never too late as long as we have each other. Oh, Elijah. Okay. It was free this time. No, it was only two. I got learning the fun way, the conditions of love, and I got on second page rerun. I don't think you can get this one. I think this one you need the patch. June 11. I had a really weird dream today. Hope is okay. I'll go and look for him. I should have closed the darn window. April 24. Nobody came to my birthday party except for my friends and Tim. Mom say I'll get real friends when I'm older. My friends are real, but I still love to have someone to hang out with. I'll just have to wait for a bit, I guess. I wonder who the hell is writing that. The concave muscles of Persian cats stare back at him. All that was required of Ethan. He had to call the cattery. A simple task, but Ethan hesitated. It was hard for him to get used to the idea of one of these puppet-eyed creatures walking around their apartment. During the day themselves, and its eyes will turn into two saucers of black and green and act if the light reaches them. Ancient people believed cats could walk between worlds and see spirits. Looking at Persians, Ethan and Arl believed they could even breathe on their own. And yet, in this Ethan Harrison from the 21st century agreed with the ancient people, there was something sinister about them. In any case, he should call the cattery, for hope's sake, for the sake of them both, since he had made the decision. Ethan had already picked up the phone and was about to proceed with the plan when he heard the key turn in the entrance door. Something about that wound him up. It was barely 5 o'clock in the evening, which was in any way very early for Hope to be back. If everything was fine at ease, Ethan closed his laptop and went out into the hallway. For a long time he couldn't say a single word, and when he could speak again he only managed one question. What have you done? Smile faded, and for the first time in 4.5 or even 5 years, they all been a couple. Ethan was glad of it. Oh my god. She dyed the hair black and cut it? In fact, there was nothing surprising. Wait, let me only save. About it. As if to a new haircut and a new hair color, Hope looked unbearably, insanely similar to that creature at the window. Hope's lips turned white, trembling. This didn't help, did it? Any of it? You can't love me even now, right? What are you talking about? Isn't it obvious? I see how you look at me. You are disgusted. You try your best to touch me as little as possible. And no matter what I do, no matter what I try, it doesn't help. Admit it, you never loved her. You didn't, right, Ethan? She was convenient and that's about it. What the fuck? Shit makes the flowers grow. Your flowers grew so much, didn't they, Ethan? Didn't they? Ethan will never hit his wife. More than that, he will never hit a woman. But what spoke to him was neither his wife nor a woman. It was a nightmare incarnate that bared its long, sharp teeth and came to take away his right for a second chance. Or so Ethan thought at the time. The punch turned out somewhat pathetic, but you have to take into account that wife beating is not a fairground attraction. When you hit your wife properly, a mark does not fly up to the highlight sign, a good one. Although this was only indirectly related to the early Renaissance, Ethan had expertise in the matter, since his old man feast used to twitch often. If there was something like that, you'll know. However, if any sign could light up at the moment, it will say something like, "You are scum, Ethan." No! He kept repeating that even after Hope stormed out the doors in tears. Wait, he hit her? Or he didn't? It looks like he hit, but not that strength. Only because it looked like a lot like Selene and saying that thing. Ethan barely remembered the following few days. Something seemed to be happening. Some people called him. He himself called a lot. He called Hope. Hope wasn't answering the phone. He knew this would happen. Every time he dialed her number, he knew he would end up listening to the voicemail signal. It became something of a ritual. He would wake up, sometimes it was light outside, sometimes dark, but more often it was something grey he neither could nor would want to identify because of the drawn curtains. He'll call Hope. Hope wouldn't answer the phone. You'll go to the kitchen and turn the water on. You'll watch the silvery twisted stream break against the sink for a while. Eventually you'll put a cup under the stream, fill it to the brim, drink. Go to the bathroom, back to the couch. Uh, it's too bad to be true. All of this can't be real. Life can crumble into pieces in an instant, just collapsing inwards like a wooden block tower. Ethan couldn't remember the name of that game. Once he and Hope went to sea, he and Hope. It's too bad. All of this can't be real. He didn't do anything. Could it be that he didn't do anything? No. He hit Hope. He hit her, and a red blood spread across her cheek. Okay. It was too dark to see, but Eden knew how it goes. How could he do that? What happens now? What can happen now? These thoughts were like a bunch of needles he tried to swallow over and over. Sometimes he managed to briefly forget about them. It will happen when you woke up in the great timeless. Look at the dirty white ceiling and didn't remember who that Ethan Harrison was. But the pain will always come back. He had a bunch of needles in his throat, and no matter how much what he drank, he couldn't get rid of it. Hope's father shook him up a bit, not in a sense he could have done it, grabbing hold of him, lifting off the ground. Hope's father was a tough man, and despite his age, he could have hit Ethan hard. Ethan was afraid of it, and at the same time, he wanted it to happen. That would have made everything easier. Maybe even fix it all. Ethan was going over in its head and as he stared at the phone screen displaying a familiar number. He was awfully scared, yet he answered. It turns out Hope had asked her father to pack up for her. Mr. Murley's voice was flat, maybe even a bit uncertain, and worst of all, he wasn't angry. This plunged Ethan into despair. He couldn't get his head this. However, the upcoming visit forced Ethan to gain his sense. It shoved him back into reality like a stream of people pushing one into a crowded subway train. It tidied up the place a bit. He shaved, he figured out what to say. Several times he rehearsed his speech in front of the mirror. And just before Mr. Mirrorless arrived, Ethan left the keys with the neighbors. Simply put, he fled. Of course, he warned Mr. Mirrorless beforehand with a message because he didn't have the heart to call. Ethan wanted Mr. Mirrorless to pick up what he had to and get out as soon as possible. Mr. Mirrorless wasn't going to help, that's for sure. He wasn't going to help, which meant he simply got between Ethan and his wife. Ethan was angry with Mr. Mirrorless like he was the source of all the trouble. Anger was boiling up inside him, mixing with cheap coffee and turning into caustic acid. There was nothing irrational about this feeling. Ethan had plenty of time last. He was sitting in a small cafe on the corner of the street until the streets got darker. He would have stayed there even longer if a waiter hadn't come to his table to tell the place was closing. Ethan nodded absently and asked for a moment towards the bathroom. Again, there was nothing rational about being angry with Mr. Mirrorless. And to be honest, it was pathetic. Just like hitting your wife and then running away not to face your father. You are scum, Ethan. Worthless scum. Ethan turned off the tap and stared at his reflection in a large mirror. A few drops of water trembled on the tip of his nose and chin. Now that a proper, now that was a proper punch. Sir, I'm sorry, but sir, are you okay? You have blood also from his split lip. Ethan wiped it with the back of his hand. Yes, I'm fine. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep you. He smiled. The fresh wound got swollen with blood again. A red blood spread across his face, such as it should. He's going crazy. Oh, we have a TV again. The Secrets of Anatomy. Example 1, Example 2, Example 3. It's like tomatoes. Example 4, a rib specimen. The screaming man is hiding here. I don't even know what to say that. Happy Dreamland. Mary's a lamb. Johnny's a tree. And who's a little liar? Angela. Okay, what the fuck? So I got Science for Kids, a Happy Dreamland. Okay. I didn't got nothing in that. It didn't lie to the weight, he really was fine. Maybe not in the same manner as before, but the gears in his head were starting to move again. When he got home, Mr. Mirrorless had already left. Turned out that he didn't even take the keys from the neighbors. At first, Ethan assumed Mr. Mirrorless could cancel the visit, but as soon as he opened the door, his thoughts disappeared. A strong familiar scent was filling the hallway. It could be Mr. Mirrorless cologne, or maybe the smell of the apartment itself, with Hope's presence faded away. Mr. Mirrorless must have taken his daughter's keys. Somehow the possibility never crossed Ethan's mind before. He drew the air in through his nostrils and suddenly felt as sharp and clear as in that dream he had days ago. Something was going to happen. Ethan looked around the empty dark room and reached for the phone. Was it to perform the ritual, or was he hoping something would go different this time? Short beeps. Even Ethan thought it happening. He only had to figure what and where. Something had changed in the picture, and it's not that Hope's favorite blouse is missing from the closet. If you find the difference, you win. If you find the difference, you'll know where the gears are taking you. Those faces. The alleyway. Oh god. Pot-bellied balls on the dresser, full of gibberish and dust. The kitchen. Oh shit. An uneven row of glass jars on shelf, an empty coffee maker bearing dry blackness at the bottom, spoons, forks, and knives, some of them really sharp. The bathroom, a mirror on the wall, and in the reflection the closet door is open. No, not here. What about Ethan Lick sleep? Leap. Yes, that's it. He has to check his email now. Ethan was looking carefully. Seemed like a lot of time had passed. His mailbox was full of various emails, but Ethan barely glanced at the names. He was looking for something special, and what was special about, say, letters from the agency that were gradually becoming more and more concerned. At some point, concern turned into cold and aggressive. Ethan highly skimmed through the notice of contact termination. Not that he was looking for. He started with the oldest emails and scanned the list all the way to the top. Nothing. Maybe he's looking in the wrong place. Maybe there's nothing to look for. No, something's happening. He only has to figure what and where. Ethan got so close to the accurate answer to those questions that the light of new knowledge could have burned out his eyes. At the top of the list was an untitled letter. Maybe Ethan missed it first time, or maybe it just wasn't there before. The sender was the same writer Ethan had volunteered to help, completely free of charge. Ethan's lungs turned into a deflated pool ball. He clicked on the name of the letter without a name. Of course, the letter actually had a name. Mail clenched carefully add untitled to the empty line, just in case you are losing it when you type your email, because something got out of that open door in the bathroom mirror. The poor guy begged Ethan to call. The mail said he couldn't sleep. He was scared, exhausted, and didn't know what else to ask. Something will get him very soon, if he won't figure anything out. He didn't know if it was related to the work he was doing. He didn't know how to drive away, what had settled in his house. He only knew that something enormously hungry was looking at him from the darkness. You know what I mean, right? Ethan knew. By the time he finished reading the letter, Ethan already knew what he should do. Don't interfere, answer the call. Answer the call. The acquaintance didn't know if it had any relation to the work he was doing. But what about Ethan's work? Could his research shed light on what lay dormant in the dark and awaken it? Was it Ethan's avid curiosity or the question that teased his appetite? Which one was cursed, the chicken or the egg? Ethan was angry as hell. He wanted to end it, all of it, once and for all. He wanted to face his fear, even if the fear was no longer his own. Even if it was crawling through the wires and climbing communication towers to breathe out its noxious spores into the air. Ethan was angry, but also terrified. What he wanted to think was the delusion took root and grew stronger as he tried to deceive himself. It was as incorporeal as the email in his mailbox, yet at the same time as real. Ethan wanted to face the physical feat. Maybe then he could have dealt with it. That's why when Ethan got behind the wheel of his old sedan, he wasn't doing it for the writer who was tormented by shadows. He was doing it for himself. So he's going to that, is it? In the email, the acquaintance described in detail how to find his house and how to get inside. Too much detail, as he already resigned to his fate. Something will get to him very soon, and he won't figure anything out. This is just a notice, Mr. Harrison, a notice of life termination. This happens when you look into the abyss for too long. But looking isn't enough, is it? You shine a flashlight into throw stones and whistle frantically like a vandal managed to get into an abandoned house. You are excited and terrified, and then only terror remains as you realize the door has slammed shut behind you and the handle won't budge. The start made Ethan speed up, and then, just as brutally, tweak the brakes. The wheels let out a short, hysterical shriek. The car swerved and stopped on the side of the road. The blood was pounding in his ears. Ethan's breath came in short gasps, his eyes searching blindly in the dark. After calming down a little, Ethan pretended. Who was he trying to fool? The night roll was empty. He was examining his navigator, but there was but not one thought in his head. What is he doing? What the hell is he doing? Seems like he's asking it out loud. There was no one to answer. It's not too late to turn back. Turn the car around, go back to the city, to the apartment, lie down on the sofa and sleep, sleep, sleep until the morning comes. In the morning, you will call hope again, and the thought was cut short. Actually, it didn't lead anywhere from the very beginning, at that end. The truth was, he had no place or reason to go back. He wanted to go back to the past, and that task was beyond him or his whole Toyota. In the present, he had nothing left but the granite grey road ahead and decided to go. If he hurried, he might still be able to help. Ah yes, sedan. Toyota sedan. The car slowly took off, the rest of the way, and there wasn't much left. Ethan was thinking about his acquaintance. Or were they friends? Probably. You don't take acquaintance for a journey to the bottom of the abyss, do you? Ethan was thinking about his friend, how long he'll be awake in particular. It had been. Ethan glanced at the phone in the open glove box. Quite a long time. A month or so, judging by the emails? How long can a person stay awake? The question followed his car silently. I don't think you can be a month without sleep. It's like Jesus. Ethan drove into the suburbs and turned the car around on Deputy Road. The 25 miles per hour speed limit road sign at the bend of the road seemed as white as an old bone. Ethan turns down Sycamore Street. The lawn in front of House 8 was overgrown with tall grass, so tall as if it hadn't been touched for. How long can a person stay awake? Ethan thought it was probably weather. He didn't remember much of the past week, but he was pretty sure about the rain. Even now the ground was still damp and springy underfoot. Yet, yes, it must be rain. Humidity makes grass go faster. Does it? When he got out of the car, a shadow detached from the trees near the house. Ethan stiffened, then eased a moment later. The figure quickly walked away along the narrow concrete path. Just a passerby, Ethan watched him go. The concrete beneath his boots gave way to gravel. Ethan walked past a sprawling hemlock covered with rosettes of small white flowers. The bush reached up to mid-eye. All the windows were dim, no lights anywhere. The house stood a little way off, dark, quiet, and still as the night itself, almost like the house was slumming along with its host. For a moment, Ethan felt stupid and was about to turn back to the car, but he stayed after all. He was invited. No, not that. He was called for help. Maybe he and his friend got a little too stressed and that's all. Induced a delusional disorder in its all glory. Maybe Ethan was desperate to be needed, so he jumped on Savior. Perhaps his unfortunate friend had finally fallen asleep and disturbing him was a bad decision overall. Well, Ethan was fine with that. He just wanted to make sure everything was okay. Ethan firmly knocked on the door. No one answered, neither the first nor the third. No lights came on in any of the rooms, and there was no sound behind the door. One of the windows on the second floor was open. Ethan moved away from the porch and had a better look. No movement. The house was asleep, and its sleep resembled a torpor. Ethan himself came to think he might be dreaming. But if two people shared the same dream, is it any different from reality? Slowly, as if that really was a dream place. Just as slowly, he returned to the door. The key rattled 3 times in the lock, and the door drifted inward into the darkness. So the window was always open, the window. At the top of the stairs leading to the second floor there sat a cat. Ethan tried to call it out to it, but the cat didn't move, still watching him with bright round eyes. Ethan plunged into the darkness of the house. The darkness and stench, which were almost one and the same here. So Selene is in here. The smell, unbearably thick, dense, wrapped the house in a suffocated shroud. Ethan tried not to think about where it was coming from. Instead, he thought of Selene, or rather her dark counterpart, the cat. Oh. The ancient Greeks believed that she appears in the form of a dog. But dogs were sacrificed to her, weren't they? Better turn the light on. It was really better too, but Ethan couldn't get enough courage to do it. Dogs are the natural enemy of cats. Light is the natural enemy of darkness. Life is the natural enemy of death. And what wish could be more natural than a wish to destroy your natural enemy? Ethan stumbled over something. He looked down. Hell is that? A hand was peeking out from behind the kitchen counter, blackened and swollen. Of course, Ethan would have seen more if he had a flashlight. Somehow, Ethan wasn't surprised, as if it's him, not his friend, who had long ago resigned to his fate. You have received a notice of life termination. It's all down on him. Madness, curse, and death are contagious, and this is not a dark age superstition, but an actual law of reality. Selene, a cat, Artemis. Madness, curse, and death. Oh. Here lies the accurate answer, as accurate as it gets. The answer has three faces, and he himself wished to look into each of them. Ding! A sound of glass breaking in the hall, but it wasn't a window collapsing. The light bulbs. Someone was smashing the light bulbs with a bat one by one. The sound was getting closer. Ethan closed his eyes. Good night. I got ending 6. What? So I think I died? I made Ethan die, right? Something changed. I made Ethan die. God damn it. Happy Dreamland. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosened in heaven. I thought it was 4 endings. I got 6 out of 6. God damn. The Hans and Sam show. What do you do when you feel lonely? I don't feel lonely. What do you do when you feel lonely? I don't feel lonely. What do you do when you do feel lonely? Something bad happens if you ask me again. What do you do? Told you. Okay. So, but basically looks like that's the bad ending, right? Because it's like good night, like he died. Blue Lights Hotel. We welcome your stay for a moderate price. Alright, I got more. So I got the Hans and Sham show. Hey, passed a lot over here. And commercial break and Happy Dreamland again. Alright, so we can go back to the last choice. Don't interfere. Sweat broke out on his upper lip. Ethan closed his eyes. No. Ethan said with firm clarity. All the following words that came out of his mouth were more and more quiet until his lips moved silently. No, I'm sorry. I can't help. I'm so sorry. He really was sorry. Sorry about his former life. Sorry for himself, desperately to the point his stomach clenched with a painful spasm. Sorry for hope. Sorry for the poor writer who was being dragged deep into a cold vortex of darkness. But what could Ethan do against that darkness? He failed. Maybe he had the skill to get the answer required, but they were buried too deep. At that depth, the water turned pitch black, and there were things in that blackness Ethan didn't know the names of, didn't want to know. He took a deep breath as if he was actually about to dive. Then he deleted the email. The letter with the untitled disappeared into the dark vortex. The frantic pleas for help were erased, leaving no trace, as if they had never existed. No, it's not like that. Hope once told him it was a bad time for Ethan to recall this. The information on the internet doesn't really disappear after you click delete. Most often it remains somewhere on the servers, and you just lose access to it. You turn the mirror to the wall and pretend like it's your fancy. There was nothing wrong with the reflection. In that case, the silent scream didn't vanish. It was now trapped. Trapped where no one could hear it. I'm so sorry. Ethan covered his face with his hands. The mirror on the wall of Ethan's dark bathroom was reflecting a closed door. Ethan and Hope got an official divorce 3 months later. They never talk about everything that happened. But what did actually happen? Over time, the hours you experience get erased from memory, fate, weakened. Such are the defense mechanisms of the human psyche. So Hope and Ethan got a divorce 3 months later. Dad loves you and never stood silently at the end of your bed, clutching a pillow in his hands for some reason. When you were 8, Uncle Jeremy didn't take you behind the barn, didn't show you anything or make you show anything. The grandmother's whole week does not and never has any long spider legs. Ethan's psyche had notably suffered, but it was playing by the rules still. He wanted simply coherent explanations, and he knew where to get them. Dr. Laura Stein was an island of clarity and sanity, and their auras, as Ethan has discovered, fade from memory much better if you break them down into phallic symbols. Ethan wished he'll start therapy sooner. Who knows, maybe most of that nightmare could have been avoided. The police never figured out what happened, but even the clumsy words suited Ethan much better than what he remembered. What he allegedly remembered. The promise doesn't say what is the ending. It only says 6 out of 6. It doesn't say like bad and a name. Week after week, Ethan felt like he was gradually recovering. Of course, he had to give up his career as independent consultant in favor of a more predictable office job, but at least he had the money for proper therapy. And at some point, a small incident happened. Dr. Stein introduced an electronic register system. As it goes with electronic registration systems, something went wrong on the second or third week. It turned out that three people had an appointment in the same time slot: Mr. Queens, Mr. Harrison, and Mrs. Mirrlees. The meet felt awkward at first, but the tension faded surprisingly quickly. By mutual agreement, Mr. Queens was the first to go to Dr. Stein's office. Ethan and Hope were left alone on the couch. They were both smiling, a little tense, but overall happy. Since they met like that, they decided to go out for coffee and talk about various things, because they hadn't spoken in a long time. Then at some point they decided to hold hands. The next day they were hardly keeping their eyes open, because they only managed to sleep for a total of 3 hours. And that was inevitable, as in a relationship you always have to sacrifice something. Who was that? Job leaned over the arm of the sofa and looked at Ethan curiously. He shrugged. A literary agency, one of the few I haven't disgraced myself in front of yet. They are looking for enough of boring guy to be their historical consultant. The working schedule is something about the whole day and most of the night 7 days a week. So what do you say? That I'm happily employed office work and I heartily enjoy cooler water. Are you serious? Eden, don't be silly. We both know this is your true calling. I understand this kind of work takes an office job and I could, but I don't want to. It's my turn to bring the mammoth up to the cave. What about your calling? I know well enough how hard you work to make this startup of yours survive. Who will make a homeless cat Tinder if not you? Well, actually there is a quite variety of animals in our database. You'll be surprised. Recently, someone has booked a mini pig. A mini pig? Like an actual pig but portable? Yeah, well, kind of. The mini part stands for just 100 pounds instead of good old 600. People get crazy over cute piglet photos and think this is it, but in reality, wait a minute. Don't try to change the subject. I didn't even think about it. Hope sighed, frowning. I don't want you to give up on your dream. I'm not giving up on anything. And anyway, I do understand that Miss Mirrlees won't marry an ordinary office clerk, but I have a plan. Oh, come on. A sofa cushion slap. Hope tried her best to look serious, but she was too pleased to pull it off. Besides, she was burning with curiosity. What's the plan? I'm writing a book on mythology. Whoa, so now you are not only a popular history consultant but also a talented writer? Guess I'll start getting used to this doll. Ethan grinned. Something of that sort, yes. And what's your future bestseller about? Oh fuck. It seemed to Hope just for a brief moment that Ethan's eyes became round and shiny pools of black nacre. The chthonic gods of ancient Greece. Oh god. He went back to that crap about Selene, a cat, and Artemis. Oh, ending 4 out of 6. I got the ending 4. Blue Lights Hotel. Do you want to go back? So basically in here, they got divorced. Oh, something changed. Basically in here, they got divorced, but then 3 months later, they go to that therapy thing and they get back together. But the problem is that he starts writing on again about the gods of the Greece mythology. That's about again Selene, a cat, and Artemis mirror. The resulting beams are each reflected by a series of mirrors. We expect them to combine at some point. I'm not saying it's safe. All I'm saying is, oh god, what the hell? Sorry. All I'm saying is we are observing the experiment. So I got you more. No, three more. Again, this thing. Fear not the devil, but the God, for he walks among us, and his eyes are hungry. I got three more things. Four? There are mirrors behind mirrors and doors behind doors. Some of them not like the other. Is it four TV programs? Happy Dreamland, Maintenance again, Science for Kids and Commercial Break. I got four. Oh, we have more here. October 8th. I got an F for the essay. The mom will be mad. The bus driver said it was cool and I should keep writing. It's nice, but I'd rather have a B anyway. Hope mom isn't too. Like, I got two endings. I thought it would be ending 5, but it was ending 4. So I got ending 6 and 4. The problem is it doesn't say what it is. If it's a good ending, a bad ending, a crazy ending. It never says that. I only know that ending 4 at least he stays. He stays. He divorces from Hope, but then 3 months later he goes to that psychology Laura, and they stay. Hope goes to there too, and they stay on that couch and then get back together. But the problem is that then he becomes he's working a day job, right? That office job, and he starts writing a book about the gods of Greece mythology, and that is about again Selene, a cat, and Artemis, like he said when he goes to that house. But overall, it was pretty cool game. A pretty cool game. If you like these type of games, with mystery mystery horror behind, with choice that can give you different endings, and of course visual novel. You need to like visual novels. You can get the game for free. The game is for free, of course, but then you can buy a hard book then they have a support pack, to support the developers that costs like €2 and something, and then they have the 18 plus patch that costs €2 and something. So if you want, to see those uncensored scenes, you need to buy the 18 plus DLC patch, because it's a way for developers to make money with the game, because it's only two developers. They give the game for free, and but they need a way to make money, and the way for them to make money is to get the art book, to get the 18 plus patch, and then of course the support pack. That is like, if you want to support the game, uh, the developers, you can buy that support pack. I don't know how that works, because it costs like €2, but I think you can give more than that. I don't know how it works, that support pack, but yeah, overall pretty cool game, pretty cool game. So if you like visual novels, mystery, horror, and games that can get different endings, this is a good game to get for free. And then if you want to support developers, you have those three other things: 18 plus patch, support the pack, and art book. So hope you guys enjoy here the playthrough of Selene Apoptosis, and see you guys next time.